It's funny that you said, well, you mentioned John Fisher. We don't have to deal with him for a bit. I still think that we're gonna see some. We're gonna have to deal with some things in a few months. But it's nice to have a little break. That's also a highlight. Which was funny because it was like the day after I was on Twitter, and then they were like, "Oh, the A's were talking to Joe Lacob." I'm like, "Can I get like a
For
48-hour
real.
break? Can I just like because I'm with you, man. I was just like I needed that type of closure of just this. I'm like, dude, like we've been fighting for this for forever, and to kind of go back of what you're saying of I wish that we could fight harder. I feel like we did more than enough. I feel that if I had to tweak that, I would, which is not our fault or people who we know, who we all fought with in the early 2000s. I wish that everyone actually legit listened to us and took it way more seriously back then because we've been having the signs up in the bleachers saying stay in Oakland, sell. It wasn't this whole sell movement didn't start over the last 2 years. It's been going on. It's like the early 2000s. So I wish that the Bay Area media were more in tune with us or united with us because it felt like everyone just came in last minute. They just wanted their story, which kind of leads into my next question, which I have a little story about that because I know a lot of things happened in the ninth inning.
Yes.
Um, there's a bunch of people at the Coliseum for the last series versus Texas, more specifically last Thursday for that last game at the Coliseum. Did you get the sense that people are kind of like they don't care about this? They just want their content out there. They're just trying to capitalize off of our sadness. And did you check anyone? Because I checked a couple people, but one in particular that I'm not sure if you saw because it was for context. If you weren't in the bleachers in right field in 149, if you weren't watching the game on TV, there was a lot going on in that ninth inning. I mean, you could feel the emotions. Like I literally felt every type of emotion that a human being can possibly have on that game on Thursday. I felt happiness, sadness, depression, joy, it was weird. It was the weirdest like emotions that you can possibly go in. But before
Yeah, I
I had
mean,
my story, go for it.
man, uh, I'm gonna say something that like I've been wanting to say for a while is that not just for Thursday's game, but like this whole self movement, which is amazing. It's great. It's united a lot of people, and we've changed the narrative with great work from like Last Dive Bar, Hal, Alex, from the Ricky blog. Um, I mean, so many thankful. I mean, Gamer, a lot of people to be thankful for, right? The only thing that I kind of that it's kind of irks me is that some people, because the cell flag now it's kind of iconic, and that cell jersey and all that or shirt is that when people want likes, right? Because they knew it was a hot thing. It's a hot thing. So to me, while yes, we're getting the message out, and I know the whole thing, like uh bad news is better than no news or something. I forget the term, the whole
Yeah.
like, you know, um, but you can tell when people were just doing it for the likes, right? And not for the reason,
Mm-hmm.
which which is to have the A's force them to sell. So from that, leading to what happened on Thursday, I mean, you could just tell like a lot of people, they were capitalizing on people's feelings, right? There were people that
Mm-hmm.
were sad, they were expressing their emotions. And so a lot of reporters that you never even heard of were hitting us up or telling us to send them photos or videos. And one thing about me is I hate when a reporter asks me to send them something about that day when they're not even there. And I've checked a lot of reporters before, like, look, man, I am doing my thing. I'm not gonna have the time to kind of record and just immediately think, oh, here you go, here's the stuff. I mean, to me, it's kind of lazy. Like, if you want to get the news, go out there. I have no problem, you know, like sharing our stories or letting them kind of ask questions and all that. But when it gets kind of like that, like laziness, or when you haven't heard anything about that certain uh, news channel or news reporter, and all of a sudden they're showing up in the last second. Yeah, you kind of uh you have to check them. I mean, and we're considered kind of the assholes of the fan base, and that's fine. But someone has to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to piss someone off to get your message across, which is kind of a, a big part of protesting too. But my my story was it was in the ninth. Mason Miller was on the bump, whatever. We're trying to close the game out. There's this one dude, I don't know who he was with. I don't know if he was with the newspaper or some type of journalist. And he was just so all of us were standing up, all like the OGs from right field, all the regulars. There's a couple people who I never seen in my life, but they bought tickets down there. Whatever. I didn't care if they were down there. As long
We
as
had tickets
they're
to those two rows in the front.
yeah.
I mean, but we like,
Yeah,
we're
but I mean, they were fine. You know, we're all standing up. They understood. Everyone was respectful who was down there in terms of they wanted just to watch the game. They wanted to stand up because it was a very emotional time. It was a very surreal moment in our Oakland A's fandom. You know, so this guy had this camera and he was trying to like move me out the way, and I'm like, "Yo, like, what are you doing?" And he was like he's like, "Oh, I'm trying to get down there and take pictures and videos." So I'm like, how about we let's wait? And he goes like, "Why?" I'm like, "Let's just wait." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he points at his hat. It's this brand new A's hat. I can tell he just bought it. Like the sticker was on it. Like it, and it wasn't like slightly worn. You can tell when it's a brand new hat. Like it looked like he just came from the team store and wanted to fit in. So he was trying to give me attitude, and I'm like, "Hold up, homie." I'm like, "Who?" I'm like, "Yo, like, don't touch me," because he was literally like touching me, trying to get me out the way. So and then I grabbed his camera, and he was like, "Don't touch my camera," which is like taboo if you're a journalist, which I understand, but don't. And so I was like, "Well, don't touch me." I'm like, "You touch me, I'm touching your camera," you know. And then he just tried to say something like, I'm just out here trying to get some video and footage," and I'm like, "Look, man," I was like, "Let me break it down to you. Everyone who's down there, we've been here sitting in these seats for over 10, 15, 20 years. Let us have this. This team is getting ripped away from us. Let us have this moment. If you're going to be a dick, if you're going to be down here, if you're going to just try to like strong arm me, it ain't going to happen, homie." And I looked him in the face and he goes like, "Look at the hat." I'm like, "Congrats for getting a brand new A's hat. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you." And he didn't like, he was like shaking his head and was just like, I'm like, "I don't care, man." And I was like, "Look," I was like, "How about this? I understand that you're trying to do your job. Let us have this. Let us watch the end of the game. And after the third out, I will let you go." And he was like, "Says who?" I'm like, "Says me. I've been here for years and years." And I was like, "I don't own this section, but we all have a right to do this." I'm like, and I said, "If it wasn't for us over here or people in left field or people around here with the cell movement, you would not be here right now." And he kind of just shut off and he was like, "All right, fine." Third out happened. I was like, "Go ahead." He was fine with it. But like, there's so many people that were just, you can just tell they just wanted a story. And my
Yeah.
challenge is this: if you really care about this whole movement, it's not completely over yet. I understand that they're going to be in SAC. I understand, obviously, they want to go to Vegas, but it's not, nothing's really finalized yet. What are you going to do in the next few months? What are you going to do in the next 2, 3 years? Are you going to just bow down and be quiet? Are you going to cover the Giants? Are you going to follow the Giants? Are you just not going to care about baseball? Like, what are you going to do? Because we're not going to stop fighting for Oakland. And I'm not talking about just the A's, the Oakland A's. I'm talking about like the fans, ballers, roots. So where are you going to be at? And that's my challenge to everyone who jumped on this bandwagon. Stick with us, man, because you by now we had like the fans, the 68s have nothing to prove. Last Diver has nothing to prove. Gamer Athletics has nothing to prove, and he did these great videos in Seattle. So shout out to him. But my challenge is, where are you going to be when the Roots are in the Coliseum? Where are you going to be when the Ballers, you know, have their second season? Where are you going to be when Oakland Soul play? So, I mean, if you're really about that life, prove it, because we have nothing to prove. We just showed the whole world what we're made of. We showed the whole world that we deserve a major league team. We deserve pro sports in Oakland. So if you can't support that, I don't want to hear any reporters hitting me up saying, "Oh, could we talk to you guys?" Like, nah, like you better ride with us because we got tabs now. That's all I gotta say.